Well, as this man who is here with me today will attest to, there's a couple of things, again, that you never do. You never eat paella in Chicago, and you never get too excited over a win over the Colorado Rockies. But the Diamondbacks win 3 in a row, and we're going to talk about it in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere. Ski and welcome in to another edition of the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast right here on PHNX. A big ski to you all. Great night. Diamondbacks win over the Colorado Rockies by a score of 8-2. I have this man in this direction, Jesse Friedman from Snakes Territory, joining me tonight. And he surprisingly did not cause a catastrophe for this Diamondbacks team. We might, Jesse, actually be back. But of course, this show is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and Game Time. Make sure to use our code of PHNX365 over there at the Bet365 app. You'll get yourself some bonus bets for following some easy steps. Over at Game Time, use our code of PHNX. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. And yes, even Jesse, even the Diamondbacks are playing better, good enough baseball to overcome the curse of you appearing on this show. They win tonight by a score of 8-2. They improve to 60-62 on the season, and the Snakes have now won 9 of their last 12 games. I don't want to get too excited about it, and I think you understand this as well because it's the level of competition that they've done this against. However, they've failed to do this against poor teams all season long. So the fact that they're able to put this together right now after the trade deadline is impressive and is kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, somehow, I mean, the biggest news, Derek, is certainly that they won a game that after which I am appearing. Our track record here is so bad that when the Diamondbacks had a 7-0 lead in the 4th inning, I was still sort of like, yeah, it's still going to happen. Like, it's, and it's Coors Field. Like, what is a 7-run lead?
It's
anyway,
nothing. It's a 2-run lead at Coors Field.
It's a 2-run lead at Coors Field. Absolutely. So, but yeah, I mean, this team is playing really well right now, Derek. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but they are now 9-4, I think, since the trade deadline.
Yes.
And they also have led in every game except for one since the trade deadline. I mean, some of those games that they've lost, they very much were in and had a chance to win. So it's been a pretty impressive couple weeks for them.
They are 8-2 now against the Rockies this season, which also was the score in this game. And yes, 9-4 since the trade deadline. With the Mets losing today to the Braves, Jesse, they are currently only 4.5 games back in the NL wild card. We promised we wouldn't get excited until they got to like 3 games back. That's when we'll get excited. But with the Rockies, having a 4-game stretch here against the Rockies, and then after that, immediately, they play the Guardians, and then they have a 3-game set against the Reds. We don't know where they're going to be by the time they play that series for the Reds. But as ridiculous as it sounds, as improbable as it sounds, that 3-game series against the Reds could be at the time for the final wildcard spot.
It could be huge. I mean, it's a shame for the D-backs that they don't play the Mets again this season, because those games would be really interesting.
Huge. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Cincinnati at this point is right there. The Reds are a half game behind the Mets. So, I mean, those games are basically just as important as playing New York at this point. And this has officially gotten, I'm not going to say the D-backs are like in the race, Derek, but this has gotten a whole lot more interesting than I frankly anticipated. I did not think that we would, after the way things looked leading up to the trade deadline and them losing the first game after the trade deadline, it felt like the D-backs would salvage some dignity for themselves and maybe finish the year with a respectable record. But I mean, 4.5 games with a month and a half left in the season, your chances are not good, especially with 3 teams that you would still have to jump over, but your chances they're there. I mean, it is possible. It's a little strange to imagine this version of the Diamondbacks being in the postseason and what that would even look like. But it's a conversation that it at least makes sense to entertain now.
I think Damon and I have kind of addressed this, and by the way, I have not acknowledged Damon Dogg's presence. He's been calmly but very excitedly been behind the scenes on the ones and twos, thinking about all the wonderful things Geraldo Perdomo has been doing for this team. We were in a text message conversation about all the wonderful things Geraldo Perdomo has been doing for this team. But I mean, I think that we, as not only people that cover this team, right, but we as people that root for the Diamondbacks deep down inside, just really wanted to see them make it interesting. You know what I mean? To not completely fall off, to not lose so many games that watching them play baseball became a hard watch. You know, that watching them play baseball became miserable. And they right now are in a very similar position in a way as the 2023 team. At this point in the season, the 2023 team was 3.5 games back from a wild card spot. They were playing much better baseball down the stretch, don't get me wrong, but now this year's team is playing better baseball here down the stretch. And nobody expected, if they did get into the playoffs, for them to do anything, right? They were playing with house money. And that's essentially what this team is doing with. This team doesn't get the reinforcements of them being buyers and bringing in a Paul Sewald at the trade deadline and doing some of the things that Mike Hazen did at that point. But they also have nothing to lose. They have nothing but, you know, playing with house money here when it comes to what happens with the rest of the season and what could happen should they make the playoffs. But that's to deal with at that time, right? Like, I mean, again, there's some interesting things happening. Nathaniel Lowe was DFA'd by the Washington Nationals, so he is a guy, of course, that, you know, you want to keep. I don't know. He was having a terrible season, but I mean, again, there's guys like that end up randomly available, and you never know if the Diamondbacks might pick up someone like that and add to this team, or again, trying to find another Anthony DeSclafani or something like that, and maybe those guys can help them win down this stretch and perhaps win in the postseason. I just want to see them play baseball like this, and this was fun. The offense came out and clobbered the Rockies early on. Eduardo Rodriguez had a lead before he even had the ball in his hand tonight, and the Diamondbacks put up 7 runs in their first 4 innings, scoring 3 in the first, Jesse. Since August 1st, the D-backs have 15 first-inning runs, which are the most in Major League Baseball. So they are once again back to what they were doing early in the season and putting up runs early.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge 3-run home run by Lourdes to give the Diamondbacks an immediate advantage. And then they came right back in the second inning, and Jose Herrera connects for what was frankly a true Coors Field home run. I think it was 92 off the bat, but it still counts in Coors Field. You know, we see the Rockies hit plenty of home runs at 92 off the bat there as well.
Oh, yeah.
It goes both ways. And so, yeah, I mean, Erod had a really substantial lead to work with most of the time that he was out there. And to his credit, he pitched really well. I know Erod has a pretty strong history against the Rockies, as many pitchers do. But I guess I'm thinking of Erod's last outing also came against the Rockies, and I don't think he pitched particularly well. I'm not remembering.
He did not. I think he gave up 5 earned runs or something like that.
Yeah, so he had a great start against the Rockies toward the end of last year at Coors Field. It was probably the best we saw him look last season, and he looked very much like that same guy today. But yeah, his last start just a few days ago against the Rockies wasn't good. So definitely a big step in the right direction for Erod. And as we always say with him, you just got to see more. You just got to see him get on a run, and maybe this is the start of something. We'll see.
Yeah, and again, it's you see him on a day like this where he was attacking the zone. He was not shying away from Colorado Rockies hitters, despite it, you know, pitching there in Coors Field. It resulted in some early strikeouts, but he also just got a lot of flyouts and ground balls and things like that. So he was efficient. It allowed him to go pretty deep, but again, the offense giving him such a huge cushion early on makes the day even easier. That was home run number 15 for Lourdes Gurriel of the season there in the first inning. That one went to 416 feet to right center field. And then you also have the Jose Herrera one, 382 feet to right field, if you want to call that a home run. It is, though. It counts. It counts. And that was his second of the year. And I mean, again, big for Jose Herrera to add on here and to be able to contribute offensively. He's been struggling. And with Gabby Moreno on the horizon, with the Reno Aces making his rehab starts, there's going to be somebody left out here. I know as much as fans get frustrated with Jose Herrera, that pitchers on the Diamondback staff praise him constantly, right? And at times, we almost heard that in the clubhouse, Jesse, more than you would hear it for Gabby, or you would hear pitchers say certain things about the game that Jose Herrera calls behind the plate. And you're starting to wonder if maybe Gabriel Moreno lets pitchers call the pitches too much, and maybe some of these pitchers appreciate, some of these well-detailed, put-together game plans that guys like Herrera and James McCann now are bringing behind the plate versus whatever Gabriel Moreno's doing back there.
That's definitely been what has set Herrera apart. A lot of people, have the criticism that the Diamondbacks are playing Jose Herrera and have continued to use him as a backup catcher the past few years because he's a great defender. And the numbers have never really made that strong case. You look at his framing numbers, the full pack body of work there has never been all that fantastic, but we don't have any metrics at all to measure game calling. You can try comparing ERAs by catcher, which is, I guess, can be useful at times. Jose Herrera, I think, is generally graded out a little bit better than Gabby Moreno in that regard. But yeah, it's the game calling. It's that pitchers enjoy working with him, and that does have value. But you're right that with Gabriel Moreno getting close to a return and James McCann still having an OPS well over 700, and obviously Adrian Del Castillo is in there right now as kind of a third catching option. You're not going to keep all of these guys. So it is going to be a tough decision for them, I think.
100%. But today is and that's a good decision that they have to make, much like we were hoping we would see them have to make in regards to their depth early on this season. Now we're here at this point. So feels like the only place they have depth currently is at catcher. And credit to James McCann for making it that, right? Like, that's all because James McCann has been really good. ADC's bat is solid, even when he doesn't produce like he didn't produce tonight. You're still pretty happy with the at-bats, but again, you just feel like ADC is on the cusp of kind of breaking through offensively and being that threat for this team. I know he probably wouldn't catch regularly or even as much as they have, Jose Herrera catch to Gabby, but he could be a solid third, like you said, third option, backup option, whatever they might need, but more importantly, just a solid bat in their lineup. But tonight, the Diamondbacks just got solid contributions from all around. They, of course, that Jose Herrera home run made it a 5-0 game at the time. And then once again, Alek Thomas, he led off a couple of innings with singles. He's been pretty good consistently lately, but he got thrown out on a weird situation where there was a throwing error by pitcher Bradley Blaylock, and then he tried to advance to third. I was screaming and yelling. I was like, selfish! Why? You couldn't just take two. There was a lot of screaming in my house, and it was like a 7-0 game at the time. I was entirely too fired up, but he did knock the base out. I don't know if that base ever got put back in the ground correctly, but Jose Herrera walked, Perdomo singles with 2 outs, and then Ketel Marte delivers with his 2 RBI double to make it 7-0. Corbin Carroll adds an RBI double of his own that scored Perdomo in the 7th inning, and that made it an 8-1 game. Garbage time home run was hit, but Diamondbacks, like I said, got contributions all around for tonight. Geraldo Perdomo 2 for 4 with 3 runs scored and a walk. Ketel Marte 1 for 4 with a double, 2 RBI and a walk. Alek Thomas 2 for 4 tonight with a run. Corbin Carroll 1 for 4 with that double, RBI run and a walk. Lourdes Gurriel, Jose Herrera had their home runs. Lourdes was 1 for 4 with 3 RBI. Jose Herrera 1 for 3 with 2 RBI. So just a big night from the offense. Geraldo Perdomo extended his hitting streak to 11 games with a single in the 3rd inning. Jesse, he continues to be one of the best batters in Major League Baseball after the All-Star break. He's only struck out 3 times in his last 30 plate appearances, by the way, which just goes to show he is not lying when he says he loves being down 0-2 in the count. He loves it. He thrives there. And that's just where the at-bat has started for this man.
What's crazy about that stat of only 3 strikeouts in his last 30 plate appearances is I think that's basically his strikeout rate for the whole year. It's basically 10%. He has more walks than he does strikeouts. And it's just been remarkable to see Perdomo evolve not only into a player who makes more consistent contact, better contact, but a player who, he just continues to strike out less and less and less as his career goes on. You kind of figure that at a certain point, there's going to be kind of this threshold that he just can't get past. Only Luis Arraez has like a 4% strikeout rate or ridiculous numbers like that. But Perdomo, we were talking about it over text earlier today, Derek. I mean, Perdomo has had an unbelievable season. I don't think there are many baseball fans around the league that recognize the talent that Perdomo has been for the Diamondbacks this year. He came into today literally ranked 8th in position player WAR over on Fangraphs. I mean, that's the 8th best position player in all of baseball by that metric, which is he's actually higher than both Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte at this point, which is, it's just unreal to see the evolution of his game this year.
Well, and you could tell the struggle there for Torey Lovullo, Jesse. He wanted to get Perdomo more at bats, but unfortunately, he just didn't seem to thrive outside of that 9 hole at times, especially when Torey wanted him to hit third, because hitting first and second just kind of interrupts what he's trying to do there at times with Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte at the top of the lineup. But I mean, I think for Perdomo, it's a matter of adjustment. I don't think I don't think you have to give up on him, that even though the results there in the 3 hole isn't great, you got to give him time to adapt to the position. And again, I don't think people realize baseball players are very savvy about the game, and even moving a player in the lineup makes them realize what that move actually means. So again, like Perdomo has done a great job of handling the pressure that this team has put him under. He's handled being the captain, and he's kind of handled a leadership role, even though he's still very young. And I think that, again, it's just a matter of time for him to adapt to any new challenge, and he will thrive. And that's what we're seeing out of him. It's incredible because, again, you and I are kind of on the same page when it came to Perdomo and what we were talking about in our text message conversation with Damon. A lot of credit was being given Damon's way, like as if he coached Perdomo himself to this level of success. But it's because you and I saw Perdomo to be a fun player, a guy that was going to be here, but just kind of one of those role players that maybe hit 250 and that was going to be the best you were ever going to get out of him. I think his contributions to this team go far beyond even what his stat line says, right? Like Perdomo is just a beam of a joy in the clubhouse. He's just somebody that makes being a part of the Diamondbacks team more enjoyable, having him as a teammate, right? So you factor in the leadership qualities that he has at such a young age, and the fact that Diamondbacks extended him, it showed him they believe in him, and he is repaying them back with some wonderful performances. But again, another wonderful performance in tonight's game was from Eduardo Rodriguez, and we are going to talk about that on the other side of this break. So don't you guys go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, it's no secret that everyone in Arizona looks for ways to stay cool and comfortable during the summer, Jesse. It's not easy. You are not here right now, so you're not dealing with our issues that we're dealing with here. But it is getting cooler, but that still doesn't mean that things are cool here. It means that, you got to wait here until October or beyond for it to truly be cool in the valley. Until then, you need a smart thermostat if you don't already have one. So make sure to get yourself a smart thermostat from our friends at APS. APS customers may be eligible for smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you already have a smart thermostat at home, you can see if that thermostat can be enrolled in Cool Rewards. I just had a Cool Rewards hour the other day. And again, there's times where APS, if you do opt in, can help lessen the strain on the grid by controlling your temperature, but they will give you a bill credit for doing so. And of course, that can definitely not only help out the community, but can also help out your wallet. So make sure to roll in Cool Rewards. You can see all the wonderful options over there at APS's website. And if you already have a smart thermostat, again, see if it's eligible to enroll. Free installation is available at the link in our video description. Must be an APS customer and pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information. And also, we're going to be having a great time out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos with our PHNX Cardinals residency, but you don't have to wait for that to go out there and have a great time at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can go anytime, go for a staycation, go out there and enjoy their wonderful pool. Like I said, you have until the end of October until it's going to cool down around here. So there's plenty of pool time left, plenty of time to get yourself a frosty beverage. You can go all in with their live table games. Of course, they have over 4,500 slots in live table games. You can catch all the action at their BetMGM Sportsbook with massive screens, delicious food and drinks, and more. It's the ultimate place to watch and win. Place your bets and experience the excitement. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details, and make sure to join us for that PHNX Cardinals residency. All right. Well, Erod might want a residency in Colorado, or at least against the Rockies with the way he pitched against them tonight. But he had himself a wonderful night where the Diamondbacks didn't even need him to be as good as he was. But again, this Rockies team is sneaky good. We saw them have an incredible comeback at one point this season. So that's enough, like you said, Jesse, to make me nervous about what could happen at Coors Field at any point. But what did you see out of Erod tonight? Just what was leading to his success and what allowed him to go out there and give this team 7 innings?
I think the big pitch for me with Erod is always his changeup. Is he able to get swing and miss on that pitch? Is he able to induce soft contact on that pitch? And there was some of that for him tonight. I think he had 2 whiffs on the changeup. There was definitely some soft contact with that pitch. I think 5 balls in play. But at the same time, it was really his fastball that did most of the work. I mean, Erod threw over 60% four-seamers tonight. Yeah. He threw his cutter a lot as well. And those 2 pitches together just worked really, really well. You can see on the screen here, there are some pitches in the middle. I won't lie and say that Erod's command was perfect by any means, but there are also a good number of pitches that are right on the edge. There were a lot of changeups that were very well located. So he certainly, I guess there was one changeup that was very not well located, and that was the 1 run he allowed on the solo home run by Kyle Farmer. You don't want to throw that right down the middle, but generally that pitch was in a really good spot, and he was pounding the strike zone more than anything else. And when you're facing the Rockies, that also helps.
It does, because they're a young team. They're relatively inexperienced. And again, he was just challenging them with a steady diet of the 4-seam and the cutter. He would mix in the changeup enough, but like you said, it wasn't exactly the pitch that it normally is for him. He did have a 6-pitched 6th inning though, and that was impressive. That I think that the way that he kind of changed things up on the Rockies and was, again, it felt like he was going to have a big strikeout night early on, but then he just got very efficient with his outs. And again, the only blemish was in that 5th inning when he gave up the solo home run to Kyle Farmer. He goes 7 innings strong, giving up 6 hits, 1 earned run. He walked 1, struck out 6. Let's power up that Circle K strikeout meter, because as you know, with every K you win at Circle K. 6 strikeouts tonight for Erod. Text strike to 31310 to start saving on fuel, food, and drinks after every D-backs home game. And again, tonight, Erod would have gotten you any free size hot coffee, which I think anybody from our office could use, Jesse, after the moving day we had today. It was you know what moving is like. You just experienced this yourself. So not the most pleasant day, but at least the Diamondbacks can give us a win on this day. I know Damon's very tired after moving day today, but bullpen held things together. They didn't need to go out there and go very long. They only had to go out there and give them 2 innings. Beeks did allow that garbage time solo home run to Bretton Doyle to lead off the 9th inning, but aside from that, bullpen once again strong. Juan Murillo, great to see him back, man. He gave the Diamondbacks an strong inning with a strikeout, 1 hit allowed. But I think he's going to be a guy that sticks around and plays a key role in this pen for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and he was just called back up pretty recently, right? The Diamondbacks made the decision to move on from Kendall Graveman, and that opened the door for Murillo to come back to the majors. And I think he's an interesting piece. He's someone that could be part of this bullpen as well in future seasons if he can harness his command just a little bit more. And he didn't walk anyone in this game. You feel like it's always a win when Juan Murillo comes in a game and doesn't issue a walk. He was able to accomplish that tonight. And this bullpen at large, Derek, is just in a fascinating place right now. I mean, it's 5 rookies, right? Murillo, Saul Frank,
Right.
Backus, Juan Burgos, and Andrew Hoffman. And then it's frankly some sort of journeyman type players, you know, John Curtis and Jake Woodford. Jalen Beeks has been a pretty steady weapon for the Diamondbacks this year, but you know, his track record is not necessarily pristine. And then Casey Kelly was just called up as well when Anthony DeSclafani went on the IL, and he doesn't have a whole lot of major league experience at all. So, I mean, the amount of major league experience total out of these 8 pitchers, I mean, do they even add up to like 300 career major league innings? I'm not sure. This is a fascinating group right now, but it's performing pretty well, at least compared to where this bullpen has been at other times this season.
Sometimes, Jesse, ignorance is bliss. You and I had no idea what we were getting into when we started this show. And as some young rookies ourselves, we put together some hits. And again, this is a bullpen now comprised of what the entire pen is guys that weren't in the bullpen to start the season, right? There's not a single guy in the bullpen. Jalen Beeks.
Jalen Beeks,
right.
But he probably wasn't like going to be in spring training, but that's just the way things
Ginkel wasn't injured, right? Like, you know, Shelby Miller was already a part of the team. So that was more of a yes, based on how he performed in spring training and such. When his spot opened up, Shelby Miller made all the sense in the world, but Jalen Beeks wasn't even part of the roster. He was someone Mike Hazen picked up, I believe, the day before opening day, or maybe 2 days before opening day. So and like now Beeks is the veteran in the bullpen. Basically, we do have Ryan Thompson returning soon. I heard he had a very strong bullpen. And I probably should text him about stuff other than pro wrestling, right? Like when we're talking about pro wrestling, I probably should slip in how's the arm? How you feeling? But we don't. We're talking about the main event and how WWE is dropping the ball on Cody's heel turn. But that's a whole other thing, Jesse. Great night tonight from the Diamondbacks, though. And again, it is the Rockies. We'll say that over and over again. The true test comes after this 4-game series as to what they do against teams like the Cleveland Guardians and the Reds, most importantly, because that is a team that is ahead of them in the wild card. And based on how the Mets play here and how the Cardinals play, that could literally be for a wild card spot, at least for a moment at the time, right? But for a moment at the time tonight, Eduardo Rodriguez was one of the best players on this team. The offense, far too many contributions to give you a king snake from the offense. So we're going to give it to Erod. 7 innings pitched tonight, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk allowed. At Coors Field, this is basically a no-hitter. That's probably the best way to say that about this performance. But great job from Erod. And I know a lot of people love to dunk on him. I know a lot of people are disappointed in him, but he still goes out there and gives you performances like this. And with the current state of the starting rotation, you'll take it. You'll take Erod performing the way I know he hasn't been perfect since he returned from that injury, but he has had a lot of good performances since coming back from that brief stint on the IL.
There have been games like this. I will add a caveat there that there's been more bad than good for Erod this year. I mean, he has a 5.40 ERA.
His entire time with the Diamondbacks, right, has been more bad than good, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think he's one of the biggest X factors for this team down the stretch. If the Diamondbacks are going to actually make this thing interesting in the next 6 weeks, Erod pitching like the guy he was in 2023 would go a long way. And I still think it's possible, Derek. I mean, as much as I'm looking at the numbers and, you know, looking at his first 30 starts with the Diamondbacks compared to Madison Bumgarner's first 30 starts and seeing Bumgarner's numbers look better across the board. You'll recall on this show, Derek, the day that the Diamondbacks signed Eduardo Rodriguez, or maybe it was the day after when you and I went live, I made a very unwelcome comparison to Mad Bum, which in retrospect, I understand that people were not happy to see that comparison made when the guy literally had just joined the organization. And if you go back and listen to that episode, I think hopefully I was fair. I wasn't like, if anything, I was arguing that Erod was maybe not going to be, that there was an interesting comparison in terms of the age, the fact that both of those guys were left-handed, but Erod had way fewer innings on his arm. But in retrospect, now I'm making the comparison again, and it has not. Unfortunately, the numbers are very comparable. So, but I still, going back to my earlier point, Eduardo's stuff still looks pretty similar to what it did when he was a pretty darn good pitcher with the Detroit Tigers just 2 seasons ago. Sure. And that's why I still think that even though the body of work up to this point has frankly been awful, I wouldn't be shocked if Erod could go on a nice little run here and be a decent pitcher for the Diamondbacks. I don't think he's ever going to be a number 1 starter, but there's a lot of value in just having a league average innings eater, and maybe Eduardo could get to that point.
Yeah, the moral of the story is that Jesse knows ball. That's the moral of the story. And he's like, you get all the hope up in the world, but I will tell you what the stats say is what I will tell you. But you're right about that. I think Erod still is capable of that, and I think overall his ERA isn't going to look good. The numbers aren't going to look good, but he can win this team some games. And quite frankly, I don't know. They can just play right now and just not really care if they actually do the thing. I feel like at times that pressure that they've been put under has been the Achilles heel for this team. Excuse me. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to say that this team isn't clutch and that's their big weakness, but it does feel like maybe it's not a clutch factor. Ketel was very clutch over the last 2 nights. So it's not really a clutch factor as much as it's like, this team cannot have expectations levied against it. This team needs to be an underdog. This team needs to have 0 expectations. And when you do, somehow they have enough of a let's prove them wrong kind of energy that they can go out there and do some fun things. And I think that's what's going on here. They've credited a couple of times Mike Hazen coming into the clubhouse and making a speech to this team. And not a speech of like, you guys better get your crap together. Like, no, it was a speech of taking accountability for the way things have gone and having to trade away their teammates at the deadline instead of adding to this team, and again, having some accountability there for Mike Hazen, but also reminding these guys that you're all capable of going out there and winning some baseball games and making something special happen, no matter who is a part of this roster, right? The cool thing is that the door has been opened up for so many guys to go out there and have opportunities to play. And guys like Blaze Alexander are doing a great job. Juan Burgos just got here in a trade as a rookie prospect, and he's been delivering in some high leverage situations for this team already. And don't even get me started on super bad Andrew Hoffman. I love that guy, and I still think that the only mistake he made was actually Torrey's mistake and not his, but that's a whole other rant for a different time. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the count presented by Desert Financial here in a moment on the other side of this break. Don't you guys go anywhere. You are watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, of course, it's never ordinary at Bet365, as you guys know. Bet365 has an MLB early payout offer for you guys. With the early payout offer for MLB baseball, you're a winner if your team goes up by 5 runs with an instant payout offer on straight bets and parlay selections. Those will be marked as winners. Download that app and use the code PHNX365 when you sign up. And of course, new customers, when they do that, will get $150 in bonus bets. When you bet $5, win or lose, all you got to do is sign up, use that code of PHNX365, deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 or more to receive $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, players, props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. If you, must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. And Damon, I still need to know if my water from Circle K from the other day is safe at the office, because we're moving and things are being thrown away. Leah's doing the mom thing, by the way, Jesse, and she's just throwing stuff away. Nothing's coming to the new office. None of your Tupperware that you left there is surviving. It's all being thrown in the trash. So I need everybody to come collect their things because it's going to go in the trash. But that definitely leaves us all thirsty and in need of drinks from Circle K, thanks to our empty refrigerator. So make sure to stop by Circle K, Damon, on the way to the office and get me some water too, and try to find those monsters that we couldn't find at the other Circle K. But they do have some amazing deal on monsters, and that's why I need to find the exact flavors I need, Jesse. Also, on August 21st, there is an Inner Circle Fuel Day. So if you're not part of the Inner Circle, join it right now. All you got to do is get enrolled for free. Download their app. It's easy to download, easy to get enrolled, and then you use your phone number to score Circle K deals. And on August 21st, from 6 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., Circle K will be having an Inner Circle Fuel Day where registered participants can use their phone number to receive 40 cents off per gallon at participating locations. So do not miss out on that. Do not miss out on all the other deals, including cookies for $1 each over there at the Circle K. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And let's take a look at the count from this game, Jesse, presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. It's always funny when things like this happen. The Diamondbacks outscore the Rockies 8-2 and their terrible mountain logo, but they have the same amount of hits as the Rockies, 9 hits per team. The Diamondbacks were 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position, where the Rockies were just 0 for 1. Diamondbacks had 5 extra base hits, including those 2 home runs. The Rockies had 2 home runs. That's all they had. And then expected batting average, 267 for the D-backs, 212 for the Rockies. So just, a good offensive night. Hopefully the Diamondbacks can keep this offense rolling and keep putting up at least semi-decent numbers there with runners in scoring position. I feel like that continues to be a weakness. But over this stretch, Jesse, since the trade deadline, they've been good about scoring runs, especially early on. And that is the reason why they've won 9 out of their last 12 games and are currently 2 games below 500. They are just playing good offensive baseball right now. And that's really feels like all they really needed. Not even to be outrageously good. Just give this pitching staff some help.
Why are you knocking the Rockies mountain logo? You don't like it?
Oh, it was a whole thing. I got a lot of flack for it too, just to let you know. People in the chat it sounds like you're on the opposite side of me.
I like it. I like
you're on the side of the fans. No, why don't people.
Why don't you like it?
Because I think it's boring and stupid, and I think their entire identity is based on a mountain range, Jesse. And I just needed to find ways to put down a division rival more. The way I don't put down the Dodgers, and that's the reason why all these people call me a Dodgers fan. Also, there's a lot of things going on here, but none of it is any different than when you left. It's mostly me talking trash and the Rockies being terrible. But sure, fine. Rockies mountain logo, whatever. But more importantly, let's take a look at the drunken orgy of violence that we call the NL West and see where the Diamondbacks land after tonight's win. That's right. We've jumped the Giants. We are now 9.5 games
place,
back
baby.
in the division.
Woo!
60-62. We are in third. We did it. We are not the worst, and we are not the second to worst. Diamondbacks currently 4.5 games back in the wild card. Meanwhile, the Padres and the Dodgers have a series that starts tomorrow against each other. So that is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out and where this division lies after that. But for the time being, the Padres have 69 wins. Very nice. 52 losses. They sit atop of the division. The Dodgers, meanwhile, sit at 68-53, 1 game back in the division, 4 games up in the wild card. Again, the Diamondbacks 60-62, 9.5 back in the division, 4.5 back in the wild card. Less than 6 weeks ago, the Dodgers had a 9-game lead in the NL West, and now they are in second place by 1 game. Baseball's funny. Baseball's funny.
It's pretty wild right now, Derek. I mean, the Diamondbacks passing the Giants is noteworthy for sure, but the Padres passing the Dodgers is kind of insane. I mean, people coming into this season were looking at that Dodgers roster and wondering if it was the best roster ever assembled. And, a lot of people are taking the over on 105.5 wins or whatever it is. And then the reality has been the Dodgers. I mean, they're on pace for maybe 90 wins, I think, which is a decent number, but it's not anything special. And if current trends continue, I don't know if they're going to even get to 90. It's a bullpen that has issues. It's a starting rotation that has obviously struggled to stay healthy throughout the year. Mookie Betts is not the same player that he's been in the past. Freddie Freeman has not quite been the Freddie Freeman that we're used to seeing, and I think has also missed some time. So yeah, I mean, the fact that the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers are separated by that, like this version of the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers are separated by 7 or 8 games is honestly kind of wild to me just in and of itself.
Crazy.
But those Dodgers Padres games, I'm sure they will be very civil and there will be no fighting and lots of kind words said. No drama, Derek. None
at all. None at all. Well, speaking of drama, we might have some drama here, Jesse, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all because our guy Nick Piecoro wrote a tremendous, scintillating piece over there at AZ Central. And apparently Dan Bickley might not be the only person who had problems with Ketel Marte missing time, Jesse. According to the article, there are several unnamed players in the article. I don't even know if several is the right word, but there are unnamed players that apparently have voiced their dissatisfaction with Ketel Marte missing time the way that he has. And again, I'll preface this with saying Ketel Marte is a very special player. He is one of the best in Major League Baseball. And there are a lot of players in Major League Baseball. So to be one of the best, to be considered a top 10 guy in baseball is not easy. It means you are truly an incredibly talented individual. So I think that it's a very natural reaction to be upset about Ketel Marte missing time. But according to the report, Jesse, it sounds like even though he missed time due to a burglary, it sounds like he wasn't even in Scottsdale taking care of like business at his house and dealing with the burglary. It sounds like he was in the Dominican Republic and just wasn't with his team and wasn't playing baseball at a very, very crucial time for this team this season.
Yeah, I don't know where to start with this article, Derek. I have a lot of thoughts. I tweeted out the story from Nick earlier today and pointed out that I thought it was really well done, that this was really good reporting. Nick, for those of you who have followed his work for a long time, I mean, he does outstanding work covering this team and has been for, I think, 20 years at this point. He very much knows what he's doing. And when I tweeted it out, Derek, I actually got a lot of pushback for calling it excellent reporting. All sorts of people saying, it's a hit piece on Ketel Marte. There aren't names mentioned, but I think people are totally missing the mark with those criticisms. Number one, do you actually think that players would go on the record with these comments about Ketel Marte? Like, you really think it's going to be like, Zach Gallen said this about, like, there's no way that any player would ever be willing to let their name go on the record for a story like this. So if that's your criticism, I'm sorry, it's an unrealistic expectation. It is not a valid knock against the journalistic work here. And for people who are calling it, a hit piece and comparing it to what Dan Bickley said on the radio recently, this is not that at all. This is Nick reporting what other people in the organization are saying about Ketel Marte. This is not Nick taking any kind of a side or any stance. I think people are viewing this as some editorial article that's, based loosely on some information. No, this is just Nick doing his job, reporting what he knows about the team he covers. And I think it's an excellent story. It's probably not what D-backs fans want to hear. Obviously, right. Ketel has been unbelievable lately. I mean, those home runs against the Rangers are the kinds of things that make Ketel one of the greatest Diamondbacks that we have ever seen. And nothing that Nick wrote today invalidates that at all. But it also is newsworthy that some players inside that clubhouse and some other people in the organization are critical of him. And this is not Nick attacking Ketel Marte. This is just Nick doing a really good job of doing his job. So As you can tell, Derek, I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Well, you do, and I understand, because I what I'm more interested by is that I felt like things based on this article really weren't on the up and up with Ketel Marte and him missing time. And I think him missing time has come at critical times. I think Torrey took a bullet for him last year when he missed time late in the season, where Torrey said he gave Ketel the day off and then later revealed that Ketel had asked for the day off. And there was, again, a stretch where 1 or 2 games, 1 or 2 losses at the end of the last season did impact their playoff chances substantially, right? In this case, especially after the All-Star game, the series that they're talking about that he missed, the Diamondbacks swept the Cardinals. So
They did.
the results aren't the problem.
No.
The problem is the line in the article that Nick put that essentially said something, I don't have it in front of me, but something to the effect of Ketel is one of the best players in Major League Baseball when he wants to be. And I think that it's that sentiment that starts to cause feelings of resentment or feelings that Ketel Marte is a selfish player that doesn't have the team at first in his priority list, right? But again, I mean, this comes at a weird time, and I understand people being upset with the idea of needing to publish an article right when Ketel Marte just single-handedly led this team to 2 wins in Texas. And that part sucks. Maybe this, I'm sure this article has been in the works for a long time. So
100%.
The timing wasn't directly, as some of the wonderful work that you've done for us, that you just, especially a piece like this, it takes a long time to put together. You want to make sure, since you are putting information out there like that, that you are making that it's accurate, and you're not just, talking to someone on a bad day where they vented to you. Nick has access that even you and I didn't have because of his years of writing about this team and being, an AZ Central beat reporter. He has relationships with players. So this information, I can guarantee you, isn't rumors, isn't secondhand, isn't fabricated. It's the true feeling in that clubhouse. But Corbin Carroll is playing baseball right now with a broken hand. This man committed crimes with his mother so that they could trespass into a school so he could go get some batting practice in during COVID, right? Corbin Carroll is built differently, as is many of the guys in that clubhouse, including Perdomo that we talked about earlier. And I know that, again, I have no idea who the players are that Nick is, was referring to in this article. And I'm definitely not suggesting that it was either of these 2 guys, but you see guys on this team literally wanting to play with their limbs hanging off. And then you have the guy that, can do what he did the last 2 nights in the 9th inning available, but he's taking time off for whatever reason. Right. So it's unfortunate. The whole thing is unfortunate. I've been very defensive over Ketel. That's hard for me because, one, he's my favorite player. So again, I don't shy away from saying at times that I very much enjoy watching Ketel Marte play the game of baseball. But I also know that one thing that is iterated time and time again by Torey Lovullo is that players know themselves and they know their body and they know when they need a break and they know when things aren't right with themselves. And it's just a matter of being honest. I do think that Ketel does take time off like this when he feels like he needs it, and then doesn't want a day off for like a 30-day stretch. So I don't really feel like Ketel's like a lazy player or a selfish player. However, I don't like hearing, like I said, that thing that they said about him being one of the best when he wants to be. And I also don't like the idea that despite the fact I defended him, he wasn't here in Arizona taking care of business at his home. He wasn't adding a new security system, or he wasn't here necessarily doing things that you would think he would do after a robbery. He was elsewhere. He was in the Dominican Republic.
I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat about how the fact that there aren't names in the story kind of invalidates it. And I just can't emphasize enough that it doesn't invalidate the story. The reality is, in a story like this, names are not going to be possible. No player is going to allow you to
No.
publish that information on the record with their name. But
Because
the fact
that becomes
that
the story. That becomes the story.
yeah,
The inner conflict, the angst between player A and player B is now the focal point. And then people start making a narrative about how the clubhouse is, is split, and their, players aren't
yeah,
united and all this stuff. And none of that is the case. In some cases, these are probably just mild complaints from players, but still enough complaints from teammates and coaches and whoever Nick talked to validate the fact that this time off doesn't really sit well with a lot of people. And again, I know that, I know there's people that feel differently. I know there's people, I am one of them, I was fine with it, but it also feels like at times, perhaps, it's to the detriment of the team, and that Ketel needs to put the team first a little bit more. But again, I agree with you. I know you're not going to get names on this, and trust me, I will, I will promise you that having names attached to this really doesn't change it. It just makes the narrative about something completely different. In this case, what it really should be about is the fact that the team needs Ketel. He hasn't been present at some pretty critical times. And quite frankly, there's probably some hurt feelings in the clubhouse that players have been split from their teams. As Nick talked about in the family, players were split from where their families currently are and are sent to a different state to play for a different team. And that's not cool to those particular individuals who now have to go through that based on the performance of the Diamondbacks.
and none of this takes away from the fact that Ketel Marte is an unbelievable baseball player. I tweeted earlier today a stat that blew my mind, which is that Ketel Marte has entering today had 48 home runs in his last 162 games played. No second baseman in baseball history, as far as I can go back on StatHad, has ever done that. No second baseman has ever hit 48 home runs in a 162 game span. There are some players who've gotten very close. Roger Hornsby back in 1925, I think, hit 47 home runs in a 162 game span.
That's a pull. That's a pull, Jess. When you talk about
Brian,
Roger Hornsby.
Yeah, he's a little before my time, Derek, just a little bit. Brian Dozier also got close. Brian Dozier, certainly one of the other great home run hitters that we've seen at second base, but it's pretty rare. And we've seen the impact that Ketel can have in the past few days. None of this is taking anything away from that. Right. But at the same time, it's newsworthy when players are not willing to give their names, but are willing to give this information in a way that can be reported. And if you're in Nick's position, you have that information even without names. I think you absolutely have to report it. There's a reason we're talking about it. It's because it's newsworthy. This is not irrelevant information. This is information that is interesting, even though we don't know and can't know exactly who's behind it.
What I'll also say is that if Ketel is in there and not all together, you're just getting a guy that's going to go out there and go 0 for 4 anyway. So if he needs a day off, maybe give it to him. I don't know. Killer X is accusing me of playing both sides, and I kind of am, mostly because I don't really have a side in this one. I think that Ketel's performance is incredible, and I most like many of you want to see him out there on the field every single game. I don't want him to have time off. I don't want him to take time off to do any of this other stuff. I didn't want him to take a game off before the All-Star break, only to see him out there going 100% in the All-Star game. Like as if he, a break was coming with one game in it and he needed a day off right before the All-Star break. Like there's things like that definitely feel, again, like you can understand where they're coming from, because every game was important, just like every game was important last year. And we saw it slip away from this team and lose by literally one game, not even one game, a weird play game, a weird extra game that they had to play in order to decide if the Diamondbacks win or not. So it sucks. And don't love that. But I'm hoping it's overblown, and I'm hoping that Ketel Marte again, this just might be a little bit of a wake-up call that the team needs you, right? So, but on the other side of this break, we're going to reminisce down memory lane, and we're going to talk about a wonderful video Jesse did about a no-hitter one time for us. Don't you guys go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, our friends at Pure Edibles, of course, is a wonderful candy company right here in Arizona. They were founded in Arizona, available across 130 dispensaries statewide. And they are a full-fledged candy company offering gummies, kicks, which are their versions of Starburst, chews, and hard candies. And of course, the best part about Pure Edibles is that they have a wide range of effects and doses. And of course, they allow you to enjoy some uplifting effects, or after a game like this, get some sleep. I don't know. This game, the Diamondbacks kind of was a sleeper. They scored enough runs early to not make it truly interesting down the stretch, but you never know with this bullpen. So make sure to check out Pure. They offer a wide variety of products. They were created in Flagstaff at Noble Herb Dispensary, and now they're made right here in Phoenix. So go find yourself some Pure edible products from one of over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. And if you love hats as much as me and this guy do, make sure to check out Branded Bills and their wide variety of hats that they offer. They have partnerships with ASU and U of A as part of their college campus collection, as well as partnerships with the Phoenix Suns. And they made some incredible golf hats for the Phoenix or for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So make sure to check out everything Branded Bills has to offer. If you need some custom gear for your brand, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. And they have 40 partnerships with 40 universities, not just ASU and U of A. So whether you need hats made for your company or you just love hats yourself, check out their website at brandedbills.com. Use our code of BBPHNX, and you'll get 15% off your first order. That's BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. Well, Jesse, it is Thursday. It is Throwback Thursday. So we do a 12 p.m. show, but we're here doing a post-game show that somehow they inexplicably won with you on it. And I couldn't think of a better day to have you on here than the anniversary of this event that occurred in Diamondbacks history on August 14th, 2021, 4 years ago. Tyler Gilbert tossed the third no-hitter in franchise history against the San Diego Padres, the first one to ever occur at Chase Field, in his first major league start, becoming just the fourth pitcher to do so since 1900. And you covered this extensively for us in a wonderful video that we made. Just a weird thing that, once again, that can happen in baseball, where a guy like Tyler Gilbert, that did not have a very good career, has not had a very good career, can still go out there and achieve something like this that, again, just had some amazing results in one night.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable, and truly one of my favorite things that I've ever worked on in the sports world, Derek, is the video you alluded to that we made at one point, where we interviewed Tyler Gilbert and we interviewed Dalton Varsho, who was catching for the Diamondbacks, right, which is a strange thought now. Who would have thought he'd become like the greatest center field defender in the sport a few years later? But yeah, I mean, it was super fun talking to all those guys about the moment. A no-hitter in baseball, as people probably well know, is just such a special combination of events where everything just works out perfectly for you. That's always the case, but
more so on this one.
more so on this one. We of course, when we were working on that, Derek, we couldn't have me involved and not dive super deep into the expected batting averages and the hard hit rates and all that. And frankly, according to those numbers, Tyler Gilbert got hit pretty hard that day. I think the Padres' expected batting average against him was 380. I want to say it was really high. Wild. I don't remember exactly what it was. I might be overshooting that. But it was not at all in, it was like mediocre start territory, if anything, not like excellent start territory. Tommy Pham, who played for the Padres, who were on the other side of that, he hit, I think, 3 or 4 line drives just on the dot, and none of them fell. And that's just when that it's just one of those perfect baseball moments where you can't predict this game. Sometimes crazy things happen. And how cool for Tyler Gilbert to have it happen in his first big league start.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And you did some extensive work on that. So it was a very improbable night, but still just something magical that exists in team history. Also, another thing that happened this week, August 11, 2010, the Diamondbacks tied the major league record for consecutive homers in a game on solo shots by Adam LaRoche, Miguel Montero, Mark Reynolds, and Steven Drew. There's some names for you. That was in a 4th inning game. against the Brewers in the 4th inning in a game against the Brewers. So crazy stuff in baseball, always is, but always a pleasure, Jesse, to have you here. Make sure to follow him at Jesse N. Friedman and check out everything him and Jack got going on over there at Snakes Territory. You can follow them at Snakes Territory and get that podcast wherever you get this show and your other shows. We appreciate you guys so much for your time. I'm at Cap_Caveman on Twitter. Of course, as you know, Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG at the end. We are Damon's Dogs. Bark, bark.
Bark, bark.
Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys for your time. Appreciate you stopping by. We will be back tomorrow with a 12 p.m. noon show. We're going to talk about free agency. It's crazy. I don't want to, but we're going to do it anyway. Make sure to join us for that. Jesse, thank you again for your time. Thank all of you guys for your time. Thank you for stopping by. Have a wonderful night. See you tomorrow. And until then, have a wonderful evening. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you play it at Coors Field.
We all silly like the mayor.